So what we're going to examine next in our class is the concept of generics. And what's nice about generics is you can create a class that can be used, that can accept any data type within reason. And I'll get into the within reason part later. So here we are in our play function. Go to your package and right click and then create a new class. And we're just going to call this point. We go ahead and hit finish. Now, when you create a class that accepts generics, you have to use your diamond operator. And then you use the letter. For example, say I put E in here. It can be pretty much any letter you select. So I'm going to go with T, which is sort of the default one. And what we'll do is we're going to use this T as our data type. And then as we pass things in, whether it's an integer, and we're going to talk about the data type that we're using reference types. When you pass in your reference type, it'll automatically sort of convert this into that type. So let's go ahead and create a constructor. And as we already know, a constructor is essentially the same name as our class, but you don't have to specify. Really, it's just the same name as our class, and then it runs every time this class is called. So the constructor has to have the exact same name as our class. And our particular constructor is going to take in the x and y values when it's called. So let's go ahead and give each one of these the generic data type. So t and then space x, comma, t and then space y. All right. Now let's create a couple variables up here that are of that t data type. So private t x coordinate. And this is going to store our x coordinate. And then we can just copy this and just change it to y coordinate here. And what I'm going to do in here is we're going to be calling this, and we're going to pass whatever's in x into this. So let's copy this. So x coordinate equals x. And then y coordinate, we can just pretty much copy this. Oops. Paste it below. Change this to y. We're passing this guy in here. Save that. Now let's create some getters and setters that sets our x and sets our y. So what I can do to save time is I'm going to copy this, paste it below, and just drop void in here, and then I'm going to change this to setX. Sorry, keep the x. Delete this guy right here. So there's our set x, and let's create our set y. Let's swap this out. And then, so essentially we have our sets, our set y. Let's create our getters. So I'm going to copy these. And the difference though is with our gets, we're really just returning that value. So let's get rid of this. And we're not going to receive any data. And let's get rid of this. So we're going to return our x coordinate, we're going to return our y. And it doesn't like this for some reason. Oh, sorry. We don't want the void in there. We're returning a data type. So we're returning this. All right, so let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to jump over to my play, which has my main in there, and let's start looking at creating the point object. Now, say we want to pass in a double into this point, a double x, double y, so like something with a decimal value. Well, you're used to seeing this data type, but reference types start off with a capital by and large. And so we'll call this double x. equals new double. Notice the difference between a reference type is we're almost casting this. So here's 1.5, like this. And then we can do double y here. We'll say this is 5.5. Now, for example, say we want to pass in an integer, same deal, capital. And then I'll copy equals. So all we did is created the different reference types. We didn't actually do anything with them yet. So let's go ahead and make an object that can hold the integers. So we give it our class name, point, and in here, this is where it's most important. This is where you're passing in your double. And then, so we can call this dPoint. So there's our name, variable name, equals new element of the point class, diamond operator, and then what exactly are we passing in? So let's go back for a second. Remember, because we made it a new element, right? What we're doing is we're essentially calling this constructor and passing these values back into our constructor here, right? And because it's of type T, this double will get accepted, right? It's a generic. We just need to pass in those values. So I'm just going to double X and then double Y. To save us some time, I'm going to copy this again and then just steal this here, paste it in here, and change this to iPoint equals new point, but I want this int X and I want this int Y. Now, since we're creating these new types, right, of double, what we can do is we can go ahead and run this. So remember, this is now a part of this class. So let's just sys out so you can see that it worked. So system output, and then I can just type in dPoint dot dPoint dot get. See, we have our get X. And then dPoint dot get Y. There's our double point. And if we want, we can kind of do something like this. So this is our double. And then from here, just change it to I, really. Let's see. Something weird. Oh, we forgot our plus signs. All right, so now when we run this, you can see this is our double, and then this should be our int. So you can see that it passed these, by creating this new object, we passed this into our constructor, and then we called our get function, right? So it's automatically sort of setting these for us.